Okay. Um, so it, Turning now to family engagement, what we've been after in Learning in Places is to develop classrooms as what we call porous learning communities, right? So like open to in bidirectional ways between classrooms and families, right? This has grown from a long history in schooling of inequities of power in terms of family engagement, and these inequities tend to position families in sort of deficit-based compliance models rather than agentic partners in learning. And so, family tools that I'll describe in a minute are one way to sort of remediate that relationship, right? But they also have to accompany a sort of close examination of the relationships that you build between schools and families, between classrooms and families, and also a reflection on power and historicity and understanding the role of culture, learning, and identity in schooling and in your teaching and those kinds of things. So it's kind of a system, but I just wanted to like focus on the family tools just to give you a concrete idea of what these might look like. Okay.
Can I pause for just a
Yeah.
second, Carrie? Because a question came up
Oh,
about
sorry, I'm not
whether
paying
you
attention to
might,
the chat.
no problem. If you might be able to just expand a little bit on the more than humans
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah, that's a really great question. And so we think about more than humans as a way to sort of refuse this idea of the world as only described in terms of whether you're human or not human. And we're thinking about kind of a more even relationship between humans and the natural world, not humans as dominant over or separate from the natural world, but humans as part of the natural world and sort of on equal footing. And so you can think about more than humans as an ethical stance towards the ways that we think about our relationships with the natural world. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay. Um, Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the chat at all. Thanks for stopping me, Stacy. Okay, so in our in the Learning in Places model, we've articulated what we call family engaged classroom practice, where there are at least 3 parts that we see. The first is your own classroom practice, right? How you make space for partnership with families, deeply considering family funds of knowledge in your instruction, and seeing opportunities for doing that in a routine way. Okay. We also, another part of this is also just considering and recognizing family knowledges and practices, right? And the embedded expertise within that relates directly to your learning objectives. So thinking about, okay, this is what I need to teach. How can family expertise help inform the thing that I need to teach, right? And creating tools that get at that specific expertise in families. The third part of this is what we call collective family sense making, or encouraging families to collaborate with each other in this sense making practices. And we found actually that we're in Learning in Places, this is still a challenge for us, right? How do we sort of form and support these kinds of collective family communities? That's been a super huge challenge for us in working with our leadership schools. So if anyone has great ideas about how to do that, that would be awesome. And we see at the center of all of this new ways of learning, doing, and being in science. Okay, so this slide shows us kind of typology of kinds of family tools that we've seen sort of enacted in our storyline, right? So we've got family tools where we engage families in walking, wondering, and asking questions, or observing and collecting data, modeling, deliberation and decision-making, discussion and reflection. And we see at the center of this what we call, what we call family science futurisms, which takes all of these sort of practices and imagines new kinds of family learning as it could be and possibly should be, making visible how family might engage in field-based science practices connected to their own family interests, values, and expertise. So this is a really new way of thinking about how do families engage in deep scientific sense-making using their own places as resources for learning. Okay, rather than centering the classroom only. And so just to give you an idea of what these might look like, we have walking, wondering, and observing tools where we have for example, families take a relationship walk and they notice not only like that one tree, but what is that tree in relationship with? Who is that tree in relationship with? We have them engage in modeling. So we have them observe systems in their neighborhoods and start to sketch out how do those pieces of those systems work together. Um, we engage families in data collection, and the really important thing about that is that family data collection then feeds into the classroom data set, right, as sort of on equal footing as what we do in classrooms. And we also engage families in discussion and deliberation. And I'll give you some really specific examples of how that played out in the COVID units.